This podcast is brought to you by Reimagine Radio, the online radio station that aims to give you information on disability and music. Hello, my name's Graham Wyman, the program coordinator with the Vancouver Adapted Music Society. I'm joined again by my fellow bandmate, Digger Dan, otherwise known as Danny
and neighbor.
Sloan. And soon-to-be neighbor, Danny Sloan. So Danny, thank you for joining us again today.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So, picking off where we left off, I guess the next set of questions I had actually involves the Dirt Brigade. And so, you've been playing with the Dirt Brigade for over 5 years now. How did that group form, and what is it like, again, as you kind of touched on last week, but what was it like joining or starting this group?
A lot of fun. It formed in the best of ways, you know, through VAMS and through what it represents. You know, we often maybe think that we're like, being a program coordinator and Dave being the co-founder, that we came together, just out of sort of like workers and a volunteer coming together. But we came together for the reason also that we're in the program because music is therapy for us as well.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's very healthy for everyone.
Yeah. So I just think we're just like, I don't know, just a great representation of what VAMS is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, we formed through that. We were trying to work the timeline out last week, but
yeah,
we still have to talk to Dave and see if the oldest member can give us the best memory.
Well, what I remember is you kind of wanted to start something that was more your own project. That's what kind of started,
right.
and we were talking.
I remember when we had that talk. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of were just feeling like you wanted to kind of focus on your originals and kind of get.
Okay.
And
that's a good memory. That's a good door that opens the memory for me because I was playing with Richard, and then my father passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel like playing music anymore. And then also Richard wanted me to do 2 days a week, and it was already 2 days a week would have been too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing one, and it was fine.
Yeah. But
2 is too much, and so I just dropped out. And then when I got back into wanting to play again, which is about, I don't know, it was a few months, spring maybe? I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I approached you. I just said I didn't want to be doing the material of somebody else. I felt, ready to sing, and I just wanted to carry out what I've been doing busking for a while as an acoustic guitar player.
Yeah, working on your craft.
Yeah, and just take it into the rhythm section format, because I was really a singer-songwriter for quite some time,
Yeah.
And that was really fabulous, hearing your stuff.
Yeah.
Gets meat on it and get more life, and get the ability to jam on it as well.
Yeah. And I'm sure also, well, I know we've had this conversation ourselves, but also the fact that, like, again, what, like, say Dave would bring to it, or again, what I guess would bring, and then what you necessarily wouldn't have seen would fit into the piece or would have worked.
Oh yeah, it became much more like a song like Guy's Garage, which was written a little bit later, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a part of the original chunk of material. It became like a funk song.
Yeah.
It became just like really like big and just, I don't know, it just became what I wanted it to become, but I never would have imagined.
Yeah. Well, no, I think that just goes to a standpoint of, I think Dave and I, because I think Dave and I had just been jamming on our own, playing just bass and drums at that point. And I think the one thing, especially in, like, I've noticed playing with you and Dave, but like gaining that awareness of and like anticipating where the other person's going to go. Especially like Dave and I, like, we just always kind of lay down, like, we always lean to a bit more funk, like a bit more on top of the beat certain times, or yeah, it's just kind of funny. That's just, I think we bring that to every rhythm section that Dave and I play in VAMS bands.
It's your style.
Yeah, but it started with the Dirt Brigade, that's for sure. That's definitely for sure. Because
Yeah,
I think you were the
you're
first.
developing, because, yeah, I often feel you guys are the same thing. I really just feel it just walks in. And that's why we're able to have these moments sometimes where I can just improv lyrics on
Right.
top of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
You
even
cut
have a
out.
plan.
Yeah, you cut
'Cause,
out, and yeah.
yeah, and it's like, because there's just this funk when it's funky, it means it's sort of like popping and dancing, and it feels like, I don't know, you know, off in a good way.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's what funk feels like.
Yeah.
It's like just sort of slightly out, and
Yeah.
that's what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it makes you move that way. It's what swing kind of does.
Mhm.
Like,
Well, no, and that, like, tying into that, like, this was the first band that I ever started playing in at VAMS as well, too. So that
yeah,
started opening the door for me to start playing with other people as well, because I don't think a lot of people knew I played, because I would normally just be conducting sessions or teaching lessons. Like, I don't think. So that was kind of my first foray
yeah,
into starting to perform
yeah.
with
They
VAMS
think you were
members.
just the program coordinator. Or
Yeah,
something.
back then. Yeah, so no,
Yeah,
and that's
you got a big background with music too. I mean, you
yeah.
and Dave both. It's pretty
Well, for
deep.
years.
It's like
Well,
you're getting into Simon land, kind of.
Well, it's cool too, like the generational thing, like Dave being the oldest, you're right in the middle, and then I'm the youngest, right? So it's kind of funny. We kind of, in between, but all of us were like almost 15 years apart, right?
That's
Which is
right.
pretty funny too. We're very generational in this group, and it's crazy to
Yeah,
think that we've been playing for over 5 years now.
yeah,
That's yeah.
yeah. I can't wait to do more of it.
Yeah,
And
no, and luckily, we're definitely trying to find ways to get some of this stuff back up and running. Especially the jamming. I definitely miss the performing with people. That's for sure. And so, I guess we're kind of talking about this right now, just given the situation the world's at. But since COVID-19, you've still been going out and busking, and as well
mhm.
as performing at the Water Street Cafe. What is that? Performing in this new dynamic that is going around in the world.
Yeah, during COVID. Well, um, for I always tell people it hasn't affected me musically
Mm-hmm.
as much as it's affected a lot of people, and I feel I've gotten off lucky, just in the narrow sense of playing, you know, um, because I mean, at first I didn't play at all, and then when I started to go out, the first thing I noticed in Olympic Village is how many people were drinking,
Oh, really? Okay. Out in
and
the
it would
parks. Yeah.
be, and it wasn't just like the usual suspects for drinking.
Mm-hmm.
It was professional couples and people, regular people. They just didn't have anything to do,
Right.
and they wanted to go out, and why not? It's a beautiful city. You walk around. But that made me think, boy, what's going to happen later, with this over time,
Mm-hmm.
with some people, especially,
Yeah.
But anyways, I didn't get a lot of the weird feelings about it was a pandemic and I shouldn't be out. I was in areas where people were already out probably because were either sick of it, didn't believe the whole story, or for any number of factors, they were outside.
Mm-hmm.
Or they just needed to be outside. And so they were very appreciative
Yeah.
of the buskers.
Yeah.
I was in Harbor Green Park a lot in Cole Harbor,
Okay. Yep.
and I was like exclusively there or Olympic Village.
Okay. Yep.
And those are the two places I just cycled between because the TransLink program was canceled for
Right.
busking inside the station house.
Yeah.
And the farmers markets gigs, which for me in the spring and summer equaled 50 to 80 dates probably,
Right.
were all done. And so it did affect me that way,
Mm-hmm.
but I could just go and I just explored around Falls Creek, every park. I
Yep.
tried to find spots.
Mm-hmm.
And I created a whole little thing and I called it Digger Dan's COVID antidote, and I would stick it on social media. And then I realized that's probably not good
Right.
because a lot of these places are not legally, you're not supposed to be busking, some of them, and so I've just sort of shrunk it down and I go out a little bit more randomly, but yeah, didn't affect me that much, bud. And I was able to make money,
Yeah.
and I was able to continue on. My wife was working as an essential worker at Whole Foods, working as a cashier, so she kept working. So we didn't have the rough ride that some people maybe had,
Right.
but we did psychologically have the rough ride, as many people did.
Yeah.
And then I got, like, not only through it, but more resilient, I
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah, and then I guess what was it different playing at the Water Street Cafe compared to, or because I guess you
Uh,
were playing outside, right?
um, no, Water Street Cafe, I was playing on a patio. I was
Yeah,
outside, but I was
outside.
playing towards people, facing the corner of the building. The patio was L-shaped along the corner.
Gotcha.
So no, it was good playing there. The booking agent managed to get me another gig from it
Great.
too,
Yeah.
and then I got another one through a referral from somebody, and then I started to look for gigs and realized I've got to start, actually actively trying to create spaces or getting gigs. So that's the next step.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's what I should have been doing probably a while ago.
Right.
And this is the crutch of busking, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to do.
Right.
You can go out, you're at your own boss.
Mm-hmm.
But, I should be looking around for spaces too.
Mm-hmm.
And pandemic or not, I mean, there's people that are open and people that are hiring.
Yeah.
And there's spaces you can try to create. I mean, I got to navigate the health rules like everybody else, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but it wasn't that strange. It wasn't that much of a hiccup, really. I just kept busking. I just shifted more into busking and
Mm-hmm.
kept making money.
There you go. Well, talking about gigs in general, VAMS has recently recorded some virtual concerts. And so what was it like getting back to play with the Dirt Brigade and Christina after 7 months of,
I only took one picture of Dave coming in the door at the start and you guys is behind from the back. And then I'd take another picture.
throughout the whole time.
After that, I forgot about the phone.
That's a good thing, though. The whole scheme of things, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's just so fun to be with you guys again and to be talking and just to see how people are doing and there's too many tech walls in the world. You get too many people on your friends lists and too many things to manage, and you just feel like you want space. Like I'm a person that likes to be private, so I like to get the in time with people in the real world.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I guess it was just, again, like, I think we were kind of like every 2 or 3 weeks we were performing before the pandemic hit. And, like, again, that's a pretty consistent, thing, or like probably twice a month to go down to 0 for, an extended period of time.
And then we were rehearsing weekly, as well. Most of the time, maybe 3 to 4 times a month. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it felt really good to reconnect. That's why it felt like at the start.
Yeah.
It had that feel.
Yeah, no, going back to ground zero. Well, and it's just, we only had one rehearsal at the time to kind of, get the material back together again before we started recording it too. So it's kind of funny, what's the old adage? It's like jumping in the deep end.
We were good. We were good. And we even, I threw in a couple of new ones. Yeah. Just why not?
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I mean, I felt really good about the way it went from the drum and bass perspective. Like, it was really good. I mean, understandably, there's hiccups. I mean, after that amount of time, everybody's got that. That's
gotta
forget it.
Get the
hiccups in life.
Yeah.
But overall, the feel and the vibe was just great where I wanted to be, and it just felt so happy.
Yeah. No, it was nice to get back into that. Like, again, to have some sort of normalcy back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially like that week when we were able to just almost consistently focus on music, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that were going on during, and I know with in your life and in Dave's as well, and when you can't really interact about it as like you wish, and you just hope that people have got connections. I mean, I kind of like, I don't know how you were, but I sort of corralled into my inner core, like my mom, and spent the time, with the people that are the tightest with, my sister and of course, my wife, but yeah, so these things.
It's the same thing, right? It's you definitely get your bubble smaller, right?
Yeah.
So, tagging on to before when the pandemic hit, we were recording your first solo record, or at least starting the demo process
I don't know why it's a solo record. Isn't it a band record?
I guess it's a band record, but hey, your name comes
We have to
first.
talk this out.
I guess so, right?
Because Dave told somebody he jams with me. I'm like, what do you mean jam with me?
That's funny. Yeah, no, I would say yeah, we're definitely a part of the writing of this too, to a certain degree. But could you tell our listeners about what the process was like and, putting that, the idea for this record together and, what you think, like, why is it, now that you decided to really start focusing on putting this out?
Because I was more comfortable with my voice.
Okay.
It's taken the last 4 years probably,
Yeah.
And it's still improving. And it's
Yeah.
going to still, I don't know how to use it as an instrument. I know how to latch on to melody.
Mm-hmm.
I do a little bit of improv, but not really.
Gotcha.
So yeah, just because I didn't, I still, that was the final piece.
Mm-hmm.
I know I said that probably 3 years ago, but
no, hey, it takes
it's,
as long as
it's hard when you start late, right? Like it's a little bit more work and yeah, so it's felt like the right time, and we'd worked on the on the material too to get practiced and work on ideas. And I just don't want to just give people material and say, hey, play what I want you to, if you like it,
Yeah.
take to it, and we'll eliminate stuff you don't, or you know what I mean, or
Yeah, the flow. No, I think Dave and I definitely would have given like insights into how the arrangement even was down. I think
yeah,
like even on Love
I want you to find your voice in it though,
Yeah, no, for
No,
sure.
sometimes I have an idea where I might, for somebody else, or I might have something to articulate it
Yeah.
as to a direction. But for the most point, I like 90% of the time just to leave person alone.
No, and that's one thing I really do appreciate in playing in a group with you. You're like, there's certain groups that you play in or people that you play with where it's like so rigid. Like, no, this is it. That's the highway, and that's I appreciate that as a musician. That's the vision, but it's never been like that in performing with you and this group. Is it's we can have a conversation. It's not it's not my way or the highway, right?
Yeah, like I know with the bass you're gonna find roots first,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna work it, and then you're gonna work a melody, and then you're gonna work a new idea,
Mm-hmm.
and then just like me, like my process is the same way. I'll have a rhythm, and I'll have an idea, and I'll modify it, and it slowly kind of. Sometimes it comes out, but
Yeah.
other times you work it.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, that's the good thing about being jammers,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, exactly. It comes from a space of that, how I think, that's how Dave and I really connected in that first instance.
The best place to be.
Yeah, no, for sure. Again, getting lost in that moment.
Yeah.
So, have you taken up any new hobbies during COVID-19? I mean, obviously you've been very busy with still playing lots of music.
Researching health a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Reading on natural health.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Been a few books on that.
Yeah.
Not too much. I've been doing the usual things for the most part.
Yeah.
I've been keeping away from more things, I would say.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm detoxifying in general.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And that's, like healthy boundaries with people.
Mm-hmm.
If I need to push somebody from the core to the inner ring to the outer ring, but not out,
Yeah.
I put from inner to outer instead of out,
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's been going on a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a great maturity for me,
Mm-hmm.
And then, not too much self-reflection or songwriting, like a little bit, but more relationship-wise. Everybody's been challenged by this,
Yeah.
It's been a strange thing and very uncomfortable, to even talk about it with people and talk about a lot of things with people in a sane manner, I find.
Yeah. No, common
So,
collective.
yeah, it's like exposing fractures in people,
Okay. Yeah. No, I
And
can see that.
I'm just trying to be, resilient, good. Yeah.
So, last couple questions here, but say there's someone or a person with a disability that is thinking about picking up an instrument, but maybe a little hesitant. Say there's someone that would like to get into the VAMS program, but, for one reason or another doesn't think they could, maybe pick up an instrument. What advice would you give them?
Well, music is highly individualistic. I mean, there's no two people are going to approach something in the same way.
Yeah.
And, no two human voices are the same. And so when you think about that, with that adaptations, we'll say.
Yeah.
I was going to say adaptability. I don't have to go with that word for some reason. It doesn't mix with the gummy bears I ate. So yeah, I mean, you can think of like in Guitarland, you can think of people like Django Reinhardt or Jeff Healey.
Yeah.
And you go, wow, wow, it's stories,
Yeah.
And I'll leave the listeners to go check out their careers in relation to disability, and they can find it out. You can do it any way you want. You could be as free as you want. You don't have to express in a certain way. You don't have to play with a pick. You don't have to do it. So you can do any way you want. Nobody's your boss in how you decide to create.
Yeah.
And I'd say the big thing, like I thought about this question quite a bit, and I wrote about it a fair bit too beforehand, is that it's important to be a creative person and not worry about your instrument, but don't give up. Don't use that as an excuse not to focus, because there's something antithetical about, just concentrating and learning something to a free artist for some reason.
Right.
And it shouldn't be that way. It should be both. You should be both grounded and hold your ground and struggle. And then also in the rest of your life, try to be creative. And if creativity is your desire and not your instrument, you can just play with words. You can play with ideas. You can invent in your mind. You just sort of try to keep yourself working. I have a little track record of words I invent, and I write them down in a little place, right? Yeah. And there's silly, like trouser trumpet for farting, or turmerican, somebody from India and the United States, just different things. It's just like having fun with language, and that's good for me for songwriting.
Right. Yeah.
Because it makes me play with words a little bit, and I find that the natural state of people is to be creative. They might be introverts and they might be shy, but they can still be very creative people, and they can often have their own worlds,
Right.
So I'd say, focus more on just being a creative person in other areas of your life. It could be cooking, conversation.
Oh, I think we lost Danny for a sec. All right, we'll try to get him back. So to our listeners, we got cut off for a second there, but we are back with Danny. So Danny, just to touch on your point about that last question again, I think you're just really reinforcing people to just be creative in whatever way or medium that they, feels good for them.
Yeah, and they can bring it into their musical life, right? It'll come into their musical life,
Yeah. So the last question that we have today is, once the pandemic is over, what are you looking forward to the most with regards to music?
Oh, many things. Getting gigs.
Yeah.
Focusing on us getting gigs, venue gigs too. Recording. Right. I'm going to work on a Canada Council for the Art grant finally.
Okay. Yeah.
And I got somebody to tell you about that we could work all with too.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Andreas Schuld, Schuld. Go look up that name as a guitarist.
All right, I will.
You'll be like, oh, it's so good. Yeah. So yeah, he could collaborate with producing or something.
Okay, very cool.
Or helping us say.
Yeah.
Some kind of level, and he's a very recorded guy.
Yeah.
One of the most recorded guys in Canada. Apparently.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. That, and then just getting back to normal, just I'm kind of contradicting myself because I'm saying I have somewhat of a normal life, but just getting back to sociability and playing and working the program and building our wonderful community and disabled community back up again in real time.
Right. No, and I'm with you 100%. But again, Danny, thank you for joining our listeners and myself today on the Reimagine Radio podcast. And I'd just like to tell our listeners to stay tuned next week. So we will have the first of our virtual concert series coming out. The first being Digger Dan and the Dirt Brigade. So again, thanks, Danny. Take care and hope to be playing with you soon.
See you at the beach, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. And to our listeners, stay safe and keep that music flowing.